you're always on my mind. Oh, I'm there for you, my friend.
Okay, so here we go. That's lifestyle conversation going on right there.
Yes, because we didn't want to give anybody free advert. Well, despite being largely preventable, cardiovascular disease, CVD, causes more than 20.5 million deaths every year worldwide. Ooh, that's a huge number. An estimated 80% of cardiovascular disease, including heart disease and stroke, is preventable. The main elements of CVD prevention are healthy diet, physical activity, avoiding tobacco, and knowing your numbers. Now, what does that mean? Well, what do I know? We have a critical care specialist in the house, and I'd like to say good morning and welcome to Dr. Roger Olade.
Thank you, thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you.
And
good morning.
Thank you for coming. Now, it says that a good part of preventing this is knowing your numbers. Please translate that
in English. So, I mean, I like that summary because you're right. And actually now, recently, those numbers are like 90%. So you can actually prevent, 90% of the problems of the risk factors of cardiovascular diseases could actually be attributed to some risk factors. And if changes are made, when I say modifiable, that means we can actually do something about them.
Okay.
And obviously, as against there are a few things we can do something by our race, our genetics. We can't do anything about those. But the modifiable ones, which you've mentioned, your diet, your high blood pressure, cholesterol, smoking, your weight, mostly abdominal obesity, and the alcohol. Actually, reducing alcohol, but actually there's been studies that says small amounts of alcohol are actually cardioprotective.
Well, you doctors say something about red wine, a little red wine.
Yes, red wine has gotten its own popularity, but generally we try not to, give red wine. But there's been studies, we can't deny studies, right? It's been showing that, people that drink a little bit, basically for just to clarify, because I'm on air, 2 drinks at the max a day for men, 1 drink at the max a day for ladies.
What do you mean 2 drinks? 2 drinks can mean 2 bottles of brandy.
No, okay. Good question. And once I open the Pandora.
Exactly. You just open Pandora's box.
So you're saying just a shot?
Yeah. So let's just say a glass of wine. Let's go with wine for now.
A glass of wine. Okay. So, no hard stuff.
No. Well, if you do hard stuff, which of course they added, then it has to be the volume, because that's like a lot of alcohol, 40%.
One shot. Okay.
So I'll say a shot. Let's say a shot.
A day.
But she asked about numbers. What are these numbers?
Good. So for alcohol, we can give you numbers. So alcohol, what they say is, of course, you might have to check what you're drinking, but about 100 grams a week is what is okay.
I was going to be measuring all that. I just want to drink.
So if you want to drink, then a glass of, do you do wine?
On the odd occasion.
Okay, so
I don't do booze at all.
so if you will, I would say a glass of red wine would be great. Just a glass of red wine once a day is allowed, and that has been shown to be cardioprotective. But obviously, but that's just for the heart. Now, alcohol on its own overall is not advised because it has its own, cancer, other things that it does. But it's been shown just for the heart, cardioprotective. That means, since we're talking about CVD today, I just brought that up. But overall, I don't sit in my office and say, hey guys, go start drinking.
Okay. All right. Now, there's also the issue of the diet. So you need to describe how our diet should be if we want to protect our hearts.
Good.
Remembering that we don't have broccoli here.
Fantastic.
Just saying.
But we actually have the best food. So
organic.
Yes. So diet. So it's simple because you try to make this as, if you want eating is one of those things that you want to make it as easy as possible so people can follow it. Because like we know, there's so many things out there. But when it comes to eating, my own simple thing I say is, first of all, stay away from processed foods. anything that you don't cook by yourself at home or is not cooked. So the fast foods, the burgers, the stuff like, stay away from that. Stay away from sodas, like, the Pepsis, the Cokes, the sugar, those kind of simple sugars. Reduce them or stay away as much as possible. That, if you just do that, you solve half the problem of what you eat. Because if you just eat what we call whole foods is something you made. You saw it in its natural form and you cooked it into its cooked form. If you stay on that, which is what we eat mostly in this environment, at least, as of, I know gradually things are creeping in, but we're known for organic food. Yeah, so if you stick with those whole foods and you stick with that, you have a very great chance of, that's halfway already, then we can now go into details if you want to.
When we were opening this program, my partner said young people are having heart issues. Why is that?
Well, young people, so I would have to...
It's not only for us anymore, us
well,
fuddy-duddies.
Wait, so let's, so I have to really, go into that when you say young people. So young people as they're young, but let's say people, pediatric age, children having heart issues, most likely it is what they're born with. So basically, maybe they inherited it, or just basically what we call congenital diseases. So that's what they're born with. So those ones would be most of the issue. When you see someone maybe below 20 having a cardiac issue, it's mostly what they were born with.
Below 40?
Yes. Now, I would say below 20, because now when you get into the 30s, because of bad habits, people are actually having adult heart issues. So when you see, those days, if you see a 35-year-old having a heart issue, you probably say, well, they're born with it. But now you can actually see a 35-year-old with arteries clogged a little bit, just because of, you can truly cumulative effect. You can really live a bad life and easily and let it accumulate. So, but I would still say below 40, if you have a heart problem, it's very unlikely to be your lifestyle unless you just live a very rough life.
The reason that issue even came up for me, we had this conversation with one of your colleagues in the medical profession who said that they diagnosed children. I say children. In fact, the question that I asked was, at what's the youngest age a human being can have depression? Said that they've had diagnosed someone, say 10 or 12 years old, having depression.
Even less, even younger.
Even younger?
Yes, even
depression?
Younger. Yes. Kids, hopefully not in the environment, but in the Western world, kids go through a rough time. Kids born, maybe as they were born, they go into foster homes. They've been abused as from age 2, 3, 4. Very, horrific stories. So by the time that kid is 8, 9, I have kids that commit suicide at 9 years old. Wow. So yes, so to answer that question, yes, you can that lower, yes.
That's the reason we brought the angle of the young people, because there are a lot more young people in the world today, particularly in Africa.
Correct.
More importantly, in Nigeria than there are in, than there are the older ones. In fact, you may also want to educate us, since it's where you live, that the younger people are more because the older ones are dying off and the rest of it. That's the reason that perspective came up. Is there enough information for them, the young people out there, on how to protect their hearts? Because the illusion of youth, permit me to use that term, illusion of I'm young, I'm too young to have any of these fatal conditions, is there.
Yes, the illusion came out of reality, to be honest. Just like when you buy a new car. Most times, your first 5 years of that car will be trouble-free if you buy a brand new car.
Expectedly.
Yeah, expectedly, obviously, unless it's a factory problem. You start in the morning, boom, you don't have to even do anything. Look, when that car creeps up on 10 years, you begin to hear about your things you didn't even know about the car that existed. You start telling you about alternators and things you never knew existed in your car because you're just used to driving a new car. So same thing goes with, if you're born healthy, your body is new enough to withstand a lot of destructive activity you give to it. and that creates that illusion you talked about. So we're still, the human body is still, because all the organs are still new enough. So you still have that protection, even though, we call it an illusion, but most the deaths among younger people is usually still traumatic accidents and stuff like we don't have people below 40 having heart attacks every time. I mean, we have the random one, and it's always like, oh, what happened here? But usually what I see, just want to emphasize, is missed congenital heart diseases, which the commonest of them is the hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. I don't know if you heard about, which kids have enlarged heart and it's missed. They have the left side of the heart that pumps is missed, and when you hear a lot of people die, I mean, the popular one was the footballer we had many years ago that died on the Kwaraji that died on the so when you hear athletes just have cardiac arrest, and most times that's it because it was missed. So I always actually encourage parents to take their kids to do like a cardiac check, especially if there's a family history of maybe some uncles or aunties just falling off in early age. You want to check, you want to check it out just to make sure that it's not there. So that's some of those missed cardiac congenital activities my account for some of those deaths. But mostly below 40, where our body protects us a bit, So I just don't want to overemphasize that.
Added to that, is so young people. Not just about young people, really, but we want to talk about prevention now. How do you prevent? What kind of lifestyles people need to live in order to protect the engine of the body, so to speak?
Correct. So, I mean, talking about preventing CVD or cardiovascular disease, it's what there's no magic around it, right? It's still the same things most people know what we need to do. So basically, a healthy diet. You eat right and you exercise, and you have cut your risk of having a heart event by half, by 50%.
Exercise.
Yes.
That's getting a little dicier.
Yes.
Here is why. Since COVID, mobility has reduced. People work from home.
Okay.
Young people also work from home.
Correct.
And they're going to work from home more as technology evolves.
Correct.
AI is coming.
Correct.
So what are the things we need to do to be mentally preparing ourselves against CVD?
Yes. So preventing CVD means we have to be intentional about it. So when you say people work from home, you have to see exercise as something you need to do to keep you alive. You have
deliberate.
to be yes. You have to be deliberate. You have to be intentional about it. So like, hey, you know what? I know talking about numbers, you need to do at least 150 minutes. Studies have shown that if you do 150 minutes a week of exercise, moderate exercise, that increases your heart a little bit. It makes you don't have to sweat or pant or anything, but just increase your heart a little bit. If you do 150 minutes of that a week, studies have shown that there's a 25 decrease of your chance of having a myocardial event. So basically, if you work out, 30 minutes, so and so, you can get an hour here and there. But 150 minutes is basically, about just over 2 hours. You do that a week. It's been shown to. But even if you do less, because every bit of exercise counts. 30 minutes is better than 0 minutes, but every amount you do actually helps you to prevent any kind of cardiac event.
I want to ask you about how does anxiety contribute to CVD? I ask that because the economic realities of many people all over the world is becoming a little more concerning.
Yeah, very, very good question. Very good question, because anxiety, it's more out of stress. So when you say anxiety, usually anxiety it has a foundation of stress most times, as is concerned with CVD. So definitely chronic stress is definitely one of the risk factors that affects that makes you prone to having a cardiac event. So because stress affects your hormones, and the stress hormones, which the most popular of them is cortisol, actually its effect retains water, retains body fat. So you see people, you just kind of do those things that eventually increases inflammation in the body, eventually causes things that will cause you to have a cardiac event. So definitely stress has a direct effect on the heart. And that has been proven. And obviously, people that have anxiety, most of them will have some level of stress causing that.
Now, do you think that we as Nigerians are aware enough of all these factors that contribute to the health of our hearts?
No, we're not.
So what do you think can be done so that we are more aware, so that we can help ourselves? Because this issue about young people having issues is because we have noticed that a lot of young people are eating fast food.
Correct.
And they believe it is hip.
Yeah. Cool.
It's cool. It is to show that I am affluent. It's to show that I'm with it. So they don't want to eat a bar and vegetable soup anymore.
It's local.
This is local guys who eat stuff like that. we eat burgers.
Correct.
We eat chicken in batter,
Well,
So, I mean, put us right, please.
yes, we're trying not to beat down on the young people too much. They have options.
That's the thing. See, the thing is, they don't. Perhaps the challenge really is they don't even know that the options are there.
Yes.
So it's concerning because in another 10 years, the 20-year-old is going to be 30-year-old.
Yes.
30 years old, and things could have gotten worse.
Yes, and I mean their diet is bad. Like you said, they still have that protection, but the body doesn't forget. So it's cumulative.
Oh, it's like the internet, huh?
Yes, the body doesn't forget. You live, whatever you do in your youth catches up with you. The body doesn't forget, but you can make up for it. But the body doesn't forget. So if you eat badly, it will be there, but you still function, but eventually it might catch up. So, but what you're saying about, I know we're talking about young people. A lot of things that give them, obviously trying to eat healthy, we have to let them know. And this kind of program like this, like to answer your question, more of stuff like this, having doctors that are really focused on this, having people go see their doctors, talk about primary care, talk about wellness, talk about things. Most people don't go to doctors unless they are dying or sick, but just having a visit, sit down with your doctor, let them ask you about your meals, how you're eating, or just go and say, hey, I want to lose weight, what do I do, stuff like that. That's what increases that. But definitely talking about young people, I mean, what we see here is just the influx of drugs, and a lot of drugs that actually will cause cardiac events, just straight up.
Ouch.
They overdose on drugs, and that's it. I mean, there's a lot of that cumulative effect. It might not actually kill them immediately, but the destruction and the effect is there. So, and there's so many of unrestricted drugs coming into the market, even drugs that can't even make it into the Western world. Because they're coming through the back route, but they get into our system. So I think actually drug is nearly an epidemic in the young people. If you're going to ask me what's my greatest concern as a health practitioner or even as a parent, is the drug, the ability to access drugs. Totally on. There's no, at least in other Western worlds, there's still people trying to track you down and do. It's totally on. I mean, it seems like totally on full access.
What about obesity?
Yes.
How does that affect the heart?
This topic we can do all day. Obesity. So, I mean, of course, it's important. Obesity, and I know just people talk about weight loss, weight gain as being the thing. It's definitely a direct cardiac event. So but more in obesity is actually the one that we've seen that is actually what we call abdominal obesity. Abdominal obesity has a direct correlation with cardiac events.
What does that mean?
So abdominal obesity means the fat around the belly. So,
and in some men, it's hard.
Could be.
In fact, it's a sign of your wealth.
Yes, and it's a direct. I mean, you always say you hardly see older people with big bellies. People, they die off. You don't see a 90-year-old man with a obese 90-year-old man because they're gone. So it just kills them. So basically, I'm talking about numbers. Just to throw that out there, the waist size of a guy, anything 40 inches or less is where you want to be for a man, and 35 inches or less for a lady. How do you get your waist? How do you get your waist size? You just basically, I think it's easier to go around your belly button. Although we say there's a bone at the back called the iliac crest, you go around it, but for simplicity, put the tape rule around your belly button. Don't suck your stomach in. Release everything and see what you have. Anything above 35 for a lady, you're actually in the danger zone. Anything above 40 for a guy, you're in the danger zone. So it's just so if your waistband,
even if they're getting on in age.
Yes, I guess yes, even worse than that. Again, yes, you're getting on in age because that's it's no excuse. But that's at least that's where it is. So when we talk about obesity, abdominal obesity is actually dangerous because that fat That's what we call visceral fat. That fat around the belly is not the same kind of fat you have on your arm, on your cheeks, and all those ones. That's not what kills you. A chubby cheek doesn't kill you. It's the fat in your belly that kills you.
It's interesting that you talk about this, especially for women, because quite a number of them, after childbirth, they seem to protrude.
Correct. I mean, yes, some of it might, if it's fat, because yes, then it needs to be taken care of. We need to pay attention to it. I mean, there's no way childbirth, even guys that don't have kids even get worse. Guys.
Well, we know about guys. We know where it comes from. Men have no excuses. But the women, that's the
I mean, you might have. So some women might just be like might be loose skin from having. Maybe some of them have just because of pregnancy, skin stretch. Yeah, but skin is not, we're talking about fat. So if it's actually fat, yes, we have to deal with it. And it's easy to deal with. It goes back to the same thing. Healthy diet and exercise. I mean, these are the silver bullets for long life. If you can have those two things, and just to throw it in, just to just wrap it up. So it's just like I mentioned it, cholesterol, has to be watched. Those are the numbers. Cholesterol, total cholesterol less than 190. You have to, that's the number you want. You want to keep that going. The high blood pressure, you want to make sure your blood pressure, the top one at least should be 135 or below. And the bottom one should be about 80 or below, or 85 or below. So 135 over 85 is a blood pressure or below. Anything above that, once you're hitting 140 over 90, or 140, when the top one is 140, you're definitely either you need to get on medications.
You need attention.
Yes, you need attention. So those are the risk factors for. But I say at the end of the day, if you're going to say it in one sentence, eat right and exercise. And maybe see your doctor, and you should
eat right and exercise. Every time we have a doctor in here, when they finish, we're sober.
Trying not to.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Roger Olade, critical care specialist, for coming to talk to us about this. I mean, you can see that I'm very sober right now. Thank you very much.
But you know what to do, right? Have I given solutions?
With these few words of yours, you have been able to
convince us.
Is it confuse us and not confuse us?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sunrise will be right back with the home stretch in just a moment. Having stayed with us this long, you might as well just stay on.